Hi and a very warm welcome to the Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship for 2019. This is event 2, and as you can see, we are at Snetterton in Norfolk. The cars have completed qualifying and the grid looks like this. Championship leader Rick Styron on pole position from Andrew Porter, then Garry Lawrence and Nick Hull. Anthony Hutchins completing the Supersport Boxsters. Hugh Pert, championship leader for the 924s, is on pole there, ahead of Andy Pritchard, Chris Valentine and John Jones. Blue skies, perfect conditions. We've got a good sized crowd here spread around the circuit. The lights are on ready for race 1. Out go the lights. On board with Garry Lawrence from P3, but the front row, Rick Styron in black, Andrew Porter in white. Styron, I think, has got a good start and has got his nose in front, but look at Garry Lawrence coming through on the inside line in green. He manages to pass Porter and he edges ahead of Nick Hull as well, so great start from Lawrence. Porter is challenging for 3rd place. Nick Hull on the outside line, the blue car matching the sky here. Porter on the brakes, challenging hard. Nick Hull round the outside line, working hard to try and hold on to 3rd. Then we've got Anthony Hutchins. The 924s have been led away by Hugh Pert in another blue car, the blue 924. But that was a good start by Rick Styron and 2 from Garry Lawrence, who took the opportunity to follow through and come up into 2nd position. Nick Hull had to work hard around the outside of the hairpin on lap number 1 to get ahead here of Andrew Porter. So Rick Styron the leader, Garry Lawrence is in 2nd place. Now Styron, I think, made a little mistake there, and Nick Hull is pouncing, as does Garry Lawrence, who goes through on the outside line. So Rick Styron very rarely looked like a twitch on the car as he came out of Agostini, and Garry Lawrence has got the lead. Incredible stuff from 3rd on the grid, and we're about half a lap round. Garry Lawrence has got the lead and Rick Styron has got work to do. The championship leader and the most experienced driver in this championship, certainly the most successful driver in the championship in the 99 car, finds himself with a lot of work to do. And it's Garry Lawrence the leader, Rick Styron 2nd, 3rd place is Nick Hull from 4th on the grid, and Andrew Porter, the man who's lost out really from qualifying because he was on the front row of the grid with Rick Styron. So it's all turned around and plenty to race for over the course of the 20-minute race distance, which is our normal race distance, of course, for the Toyo Tires Porsche BRSCC Championship. Rick Styron's on board, showing us that he's getting closer here to Garry Lawrence. Now this is going to be a thrilling encounter, I'm sure, coming up towards Coram, the sweeping right-hander, then into the 90-degree Murray's corner, and then onto the home straight. They'll hopefully bypass the pit lane entrance, which is on the right-hand side of shot now. And let's have a look at Rick Styron, see how much speed he's getting. He's closing up. There is the leader of the 924s, Hugh Pert, pole position again, as he did at Brands Hatch. He picked up 2 class wins, 7th position overall in both of the races. Rick Styron putting the pressure on, so Garry Lawrence defensive on sort of halfway down that straight in towards the hairpin, and then comes out, takes as much of the racing line as he dare, with the attentions of Styron right behind. You can see Styron looks to the outside, now dives on the inside line and has a look, but there isn't room there, so Lawrence doing a good job of defending at the moment. This is the run, slightly downhill as you can see, into Agostini, the hairpin. Is there going to be room here? No, there's not. Styron, in fact, not quite close enough. We've still got all 5 cars in the Supersport Boxster class together. Anthony Hutchins is in 5th place at the moment. Rick Styron just trying to work out where he can grab the speed and the momentum. It's one thing catching, but it's quite another one being able to get past. But there are good overtaking opportunities here at Snetterton on 300 circuit. 300 equates to just a shade under 3 miles, but in essence it's a 3 mile track. As Styron starts to build momentum here, will he go to the inside for the next corner, which will be the left-hand side of the track, which is pretty well covered? No, he goes to the other side, and this is going to be brave stuff. If he can draw level and they give each other room, he'll get the inside line for the next part of the complex, but he doesn't, because Garry Lawrence has the speed into the corner. You can see the cars keeping well clear of the sausage curbs on the inside, which would really dislodge the cars, probably force a spin. These guys, as we saw at Brands Hatch, have some clean, fair racing, and I hope I'm not jinxing things by saying that, but we really did see some great respectful racing at Brands Hatch, side-by-side stuff, all clean, and that's what the fans want to see as well. The drivers want to take the cars home in one piece, go to work on Monday morning. Along the start-finish straight once again, and Rick Styron still looking to try and get past. Remember, Styron had pole position pace in qualifying, so he might feel he's got something of an advantage, certainly a psychological advantage having got that. Looks to the outside line at Rich's, can't go through there, so we'll grab the curb at Rich's now as they come down into the hairpin once again. Lawrence comes across, gets defensive on the brakes into the hairpin. Lawrence goes wide, and Styron is through. Rick Styron goes through. Lawrence is on the grass and rejoins, I think, in fourth place. And now Nick Hull's got the lead. Nick Hull passes Rick Styron, so Styron must have lost momentum as well. And Nick Hull leads the race here at Snetterton. A high drama event here. They come out of Palmer Corner, head down in towards Agostini again, and it's Nick Hull that leads. But now here comes Styron, challenging to try and retake the lead. They're side by side into Agostini again, giving each other room. And Nick Hull, sensible driving. Remember that great overtake we saw from him on the outside of Graham Hill Bend at Brands Hatch? And yes, I'm quite within my rights to bang on about that, because that was one of the best outside passes I've seen. In one of the most difficult cars to do it in. It was good racing. Now, the key thing here, I was going to say, I was expecting Nick Hull to have a lap lead on his career statistics there, and it's going to be part lap lead instead, because he didn't cross the line in the lead, but he did grab the lead, and Rick Styron managed to get back. There's Hugh Pert in the 924, so he's clear of the opposition in this one at the moment, the opposition being John Jones and Andy Pritchard. Andy Pritchard, who will move into, well, consolidate second place in the championship, because he shared that currently with Chris Valentine, who is here, and John Jones running third. I think we'll grab third off of Chris Valentine, if my maths is correct, for this race. But we're on board now with Garry Lawrence, the Devon-based racer, 5th position. So my immediate thought was that he dropped back to 4th, but he's chasing Anthony Hutchins at the moment, so a lot of recovery for him to do. And Lawrence, who I was surprised at the start of the year when I was putting the statistics together, hasn't won a race in the championship. Nick Hull did in the early days of the Boxsters. Rick Styron's obviously got the most race wins, as we've told you before. But Garry Lawrence, I was starting to pontificate whether, having got into the lead, whether we were going to see a first career win for Garry Lawrence, but it could still be in this race. But he's got work to do. As you can see, he's in 5th, and he's closing in on Anthony Hutchins, the driver from Rye. And so Brands Hatch was his home race, the former Mazda racer. We're focused at the moment on Andrew Porter, who is having a decent race. So Lawrence beginning to close in on the field. Remember, qualified 3rd, so realistically that will be his target, to try and get into a podium position here in terms of damage limitation, and he's got work to do to try and close up. We're 8 minutes into the race out of 20 minutes. It's a grueling weekend for these boys, because they get to race 3 times, so it's an hour of racing track time plus they're qualifying, so it's great value for money. And they race on the very best circuits in the UK as well. Obviously Brands Hatch for our starter, Snetterton 300 circuit here this weekend. And after a 4-week break to refettle the cars and re-energise themselves, everybody was ready to come out and have a good race. So Nick Hull 2nd, Rick Styron getting away a little bit at the moment in the black 99, but we're going to focus on this scrap for 4th position. Garry Lawrence, having grabbed the lead earlier on around the outside of Agostini, is now fighting for 4th place, and he tees himself up the inside line of Anthony Hutchins in the red, white and blue 80 and goes through. And that was a good pass, good clean pass. Again, both the drivers respecting what each other are doing. Garry Lawrence had the speed, had the track position on the inside line going into Brundle, which is the left-hand corner, and that's position achieved for him. Hutchins, of course, still very much learning boxers. This is only his second event with us, and he will get to grips with the cars, as indeed he did with the Mazdas. Hugh Pert still leading the 924s. Had, as I said, 2 class wins at Brands Hatch, was 7th overall in both of those races, and the 924s still a very welcome part of this grid. In fact, they were the initiators of the championship, as you will know, back in 1992. Here is Nick Hull. Nick being closed on a little bit now by Andrew Porter, who seems to be getting a bit of race rhythm, and that pace that he had in qualifying is beginning to show in the race. He's closing in on Nick Hull, and they in turn will look in their mirrors and see the resurgent Garry Lawrence trying to close up. So on board with Porter into Palmer corner, gets to the apex a little bit earlier than Nick Hull. They're going to come slightly downhill. There's not a huge amount of gradient change here at Snetterton, but you can see on the infield why Jonathan Palmer did that. It brought the old circuit to life, and having a look up the inside line now is Porter. Very nearly did a Rick Styron there on Nick Hull, but I think Nick was wise to that. Nick wasn't overly defensive going into that corner. So they go through Hamilton, the left-hander, then this first right-hander is Oggie's corner, short run. Then once they go through Oggie's down to the next turn, again, right-hander called Williams, and then onto the long straight. Used to be known as the Revit straight here, but as part of the rebuild and the rebranding, Jonathan Palmer now calls it the Bentley straight, and Andrew Porter loses a little bit of time there, but closes up under braking on Nick Hull. Nick, again, not feeling the need to go overly defensive at the moment. They'll go through Bumhole and then head down towards Coram corner again in bright sunshine. You'll see spectators around the circuit. Now, bear in mind, because we're racing on the 300 circuit, we've got a good number of race fans here. Racing, and there is the proof. We've got Lawrence closing in on this, so all of a sudden Andrew Porter is going to have to think about maybe defending, but he's not going to have the chance because Lawrence was so quick out of Williams and leaps past into 3rd position. Lawrence is back on a podium from being 5th. He led the race, he went down to 5th, so well, I'll tell you what, if he can pass Nick Hull, he'll have had a lap in each position on track. That's if he doesn't get past Nick Hull from 4th position here. So through Bombhole, which legend has it was created because there was a bomb exploded there in the war, but then somebody told me that's not the case. I must find out the truth about that. But anyway, Hull is being put under big pressure through Murray's onto centre straight again, and Garry Lawrence is picking up speed. So Lawrence now hungry, having got back onto a podium position, which I thought would be a realistic target for him, has exceeded my expectation. Now looks to the inside line. Nick Hull sees him coming and again isn't overly defensive, doesn't go across early because he wants some speed coming out of Riches and heading down in towards the hairpin. Let's see whether Lawrence can look down the inside line here. No, he doesn't want to do that. He's going wide. This is all about momentum, carrying the speed through the hairpin and down in towards the next corner, which is Palmer. Styron's best lap at 2:13. Garry Lawrence has done a 2:14.6. He's the 2nd quickest driver on track, Garry Lawrence. So if he's being conveyed that by his pit signals, he'll know that 2nd position pace is what he has at the moment, but he doesn't have the position at the moment because he's still got to work with his old sparring partner here, Nick Hull, who runs wide there. So Hull under pressure but keeping cool at the moment. Styron disappears away in front of us. Garry Lawrence still challenging hard. We're at 3/4 distance now. The race which should go to 9 laps. 15 minutes elapsed on the clock, and Garry Lawrence is still chasing. Drifts wide here. Down in towards Williams. This is where he's been quick. He's made passes on the Bentley straight. He's too far back at the moment from Nick Hull to challenge here. So Hull's actually responded very well indeed to the challenge of Garry Lawrence, but Lawrence will close up under braking as they come into Brundle, left-hander. Nelson is the right-hander. Here's the left, into the right. Nick Hull still there. Then they travel through to Bombhole. Good viewing point here. One of many really good viewing points at Snetterton. Rides the curbs and is now right under the spoiler of Nick Hull's car. So the battle for second position is very much on again. Still got Andrew Porter, I think, in behind us. Dropped away a little bit, isn't he, Andrew Porter? Just having a look back. No, Andrew Porter, in fact, we've got Anthony Hutchins now in 4th place. So what's happened to Porter, I don't know. But it's Nick Hull, I've got to say, for my money, looking comfortable now in 2nd place. And I hope that's not because the commentator or even Garry Lawrence has got to regroup. We saw a flash of the pit signals being delivered on the pit wall. And this is one exhilarating place to stand on the pit wall. And I find it more exhilarating than any other circuit as the cars go past here. I think it's because it's such a long, fast straight. Lawrence still challenging again. Wide line here. There's no room on the inside line there. Lawrence gets it right after that. Was it an error or car problem earlier on? We'll maybe find out in the race interviews. But whatever that was, Lawrence has fought back in a very good manner indeed, as Rick Styron passes Andy Pritchard, who's running in 2nd position in the 924s. There he is in the number 11 car. So Andy Pritchard will here grab some good points in the 94s. Actually, he's running 3rd in the 94s. 2nd, we've got John Jones running in 2nd place at the moment. But we rejoin the battle for 2nd position, and Garry Lawrence, who really is getting the momentum now. You can see he's exploring the different lines and taking the appropriate wide line into corners to gain momentum on the exit to try and get past. But he just hasn't had that little bit of extra speed to deal with Nick Hull, but now he has, and you can see very quick out of Williams' corner again. And are we going to see what is becoming a trademark move from Garry Lawrence? He's on the outside line. Now, whether he gets past, how much momentum has he got here? They're closing up on Andy Pritchard, 3rd in the 19.4s as well. That line indicates to me that Garry Lawrence is up into P2. Lawrence has now passed Nick Hull, so Hull is still on the podium in 3rd place. Pritchard sees the Super Sport boxer in his mirrors and lets him through. And Garry Lawrence has held the lead of this race. He then went to the back of the group in the Super Sport boxers and has now fought his way back through into 2nd position. But Nick Hull is not giving up. He's still there. Runs deep into Murray's corner, does Nick Hull there, still in 3rd place. And at the moment, the cars echoing their results as the race leader passes John Jones in the 639 car, the red car. Jones 2nd in the 924s. So we've actually had a little bit of camera time on everybody in this race. The battle for 2nd and 3rd seems, I think, perhaps now to be settled. Rick Styron's best lap was back on lap 4. We're on board with the race leader. Clear circuit. His next target, next thing to focus on, is going to be Hugh Pert, who is 6th overall and on his way to a 3rd win in the 924 category. The red 924 there of John Jones is going through. This is going to be a best result for John. He had 2 fourths at Brands Hatch, new driver to the championship. So this is going to be a best by 2 positions for him. So congratulations to him. Still got 3 miles to go. As Nick Hull, I tell you what, Nick Hull has not finished yet. He's chasing Garry Lawrence in P2, and I wonder whether Gary's maybe taken a bit too much out of his tyres. But Nick Hull is certainly challenging hard. Remember, Nick qualified 4th, Garry Lawrence qualified 3rd, so they've both made progress from where they started. And Rick Styron, the championship leader, is going to pop a lap on the leader of the 924s. Hugh Pert is going to win the 924s. He's still got Brundle, Nelson, Bombhole, Coram and Murray's to negotiate, of course, to get to the checker, as has Rick Styron, who is out front. This is lap 9, and it's been a hard-fought race for Rick Styron. And 3 race wins on the bounce. He's not quite there yet. And remember, we did see a little blip from the car down at Agostini earlier on, but they are pretty much few and far between from Rick Styrin. The gap that he has is just over 9 seconds ahead of Garry Lawrence, but that would have been closer had Garry not had that moment, and one wonders whether Garry Lawrence is going to take the battle to Rick Styrin in race 2. I suspect he will. In the meantime, though, the checkered flag awaits the 99 car of Rick Styrin, who wins round 3 of the Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship. Immediately behind him in blue, taking the checker in the 924s, is Hugh Pert, who achieves 3 on the bounce in the classic 924 category. Garry Lawrence is second from Nick Hull, Anthony Hutchins fourth from Andrew Porter. Hugh Pert wins the 924s from John Jones, with Andy Pritchard in 8th place. Fastest lap, Rick Styrin in the Boxsters and Hugh Pert in the 924s.
Well, John Jones, congratulations, second place finish, and for someone with as little experience as you have, relatively speaking, that's been a fantastic result, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. It was a bit of a war of attrition with some of the cars having problems, but at the end of the day, you know, you have to be on the track to get a finish, and I finished second, so yeah, immensely happy.
What is it that attracted you to the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship and 94s in particular?
Always been a fan of Porsche. I've got a 944, a Cayenne. My fiance's got a 718, so Porsche is in the blood, and it's a fantastic car to race, relatively low cost, and immensely good fun.
Well, let's hope for some more podiums tomorrow.
Let's hope so. Thank you.
Race number 2 for the Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship about to get underway, with 3-time former champion Rick Styrin on pole position. Garry Lawrence alongside him, well, he's finished second in all 3 of the first 3 races this year. He'll be desperate to go one better in this one. 20 more minutes of racing in baking hot conditions here at Snetterton. This should be a good one.
Rick Styrin on pole position from Garry Lawrence, Nick Hull and Anthony Hutchins. Andrew Porter is next. The 924s headed by Hugh Pert. John Jones alongside then Andy Pritchard and Chris Valentine completing the grid for round 4 of the championship. Second of 3 races here at Snetterton. 5-second board is shown from the gantry. Andrew Porter's car got a little bit hot in race number 1. That's why he dropped back. Away we go, the lights go out. Good start from Rick Styrin in pole position. 2 cars ahead. We've got the blue car immediately ahead. The black car in front of Nick Hull is Rick Styrin, who goes into the lead. Garry Lawrence again annexes second position, and it was a good start again from Andrew Porter, who was potentially on for a first career podium in race number 1, but it wasn't to be. He's going to be fighting in this one. Anthony Hutchins is next up in 5th position. It looks like Andy Pritchard's had a very good start up in the 924s as well. On board with Nick Hull. So remember, this is the second of 3 20-minute races, so it's a fair old weekend for these drivers. It looks like Hugh Pert's got back in front. The white and green car of Andy Pritchard is in 2nd position now. I thought I saw him in the lead off the start. So the 924s and Chris Valentine up into 2nd place. So a good start from Valentine. John Jones, who was 2nd in race number 1 there in 639, busy having a look at the moment at Andy Pritchard, but it's Hugh Pert looking for win number 4 of the year at the head of the 924s. And Garry Lawrence doesn't get a repeat of what happened in race 1, and that was that little moment for Rick Styrin. Styrin the leader, Lawrence 2nd, Nick Hull is 3rd, followed by Andrew Porter. And then Anthony Hutchins, who with 4th position obviously bettered his 5th places at Brands Hatch. So this is what it's about for a lot of these drivers, getting better results, getting better performance, getting acquainted with the cars if you're a newcomer, as Anthony Hutchins is, and indeed as is John Jones in the 924 category. So the race again settling into a nice pattern. 9 laps we think in prospect, barring any issues mid-race. Conditions pretty much the same way they were in race number 1. It's Rick Styrin who is looking to bag another career win and extend that championship lead further. Garry Lawrence with a great drive, as you saw in race number 1, coming through from the back of the group. extent he's going to have to look in the mirrors now. Garry Lawrence is passed by Nick Hull. Here's the onboard from Andrew Porter, and Garry Lawrence has got a problem. Lawrence is slowing. That is such a shame. Now, is it a terminal problem or is it a blip? Let's see. I think Lawrence is still losing track to the new second and third place cars. They're getting away, still mobile at the moment, but this looks to me as if it's going to be a visit into pit lane. It is not going to be Lawrence's day. There is Hugh Pert, he's the leader in the 94s in blue, disappears screen right with a good healthy lead. He's not holding back and giving anybody a race, is he, Hugh? He's away and down the road. Here comes John Jones in second place, Chris Valentine in third, trying to close up on him, and we go back to the second position cars in the Boxsters, still headed by Andrew Porter. 3 starts so far this year, reading fourth, 2 fourths at Brands Hatch, 5th place in race 1, and a potential podium here. Nick Hull a little bit further back than he was on the previous lap, so Nick with some work to do. Closes in under braking, does Nick Hull. Nick will realise that consistency absolutely key to a season. He had some disappointments last year, Nick Hull, with a particularly nasty moment at Castle Combe, if I remember correctly, and a number of problems over the course of the year. Still managed to notch up 209 points, but he did come out for Anglesey after Castle Combe, had 2 retirements there, and Nick certainly has not let that get him down, and he's here back with the championship, the chairman of the Porsche Racing Drivers Association, very much enjoying his racing and relishing the chance to maybe get a P2 here. He's got to fight for P2. Rick Styron's still away and down the road. Rick's best lap, lap 2, first flying lap, 2 minutes 13.699 as Nick Hull goes to the outside line here and challenging hard, draws level with Andrew Porter. Great piece of motor racing here from the Porsches, and Nick Hull's got his nose in front, but he can't quite get around into Rich's, and holding on to second place is Andrew Porter. But again, a fine example of racing between these two. We saw them doing this at Brands Hatch. They give each other room, they give each other respect, but they're also giving the race fans here some superb looking motor racing, and you can see Hull was working hard and managed to get the momentum down the centre straight to challenge on the outside. It wasn't to be, there wasn't room on the inside, so he had to try and make the outside work. Now he's got to build all that momentum up once again and try and challenge the 33 car. But this is absolutely fascinating between these two drivers. Cat and mouse between the two of them. Anthony Hutchins is dropping back a little bit at the moment. Might be able to regroup if these two start to slow each other up, if Andrew Porter has to maybe get a little bit more defensive than he has been so far. But really good try there from Nick Hull to go for the lead, the outside down the main straight. Just not quite enough momentum to cut across. A little bit more speed, maybe he would have done that. Closing in again, he's having a right good go. He knows that he's got the potential to get back past Andrew Porter. It's just a question of whether he can get the momentum and then have enough momentum and make it stick without maybe overdriving into the corners, which we haven't seen so far. Here's Rick Styron, still the race leader. Now, what are these two guys lapping at? Andrew Porter, best lap, lap 3, 2 minutes 14.3. And Nick Hull's best lap, 2:14.604, lap 7. So it's not a lot between these drivers. Anthony Hutchins, for his part, is doing 2 minutes 15. It's the 94 lap times, incidentally, going in the sort of 2:26, 2:27 brackets. And Hugh Pert looking for another win there. So the way things stand at the minute, it's going to be 4 wins for Styron, 4 wins for Pert, but the podium is far from settled, and Nick Hull is having yet another run along centre straight. Is he as far up as he was on the previous lap? I don't believe he is, but he might go for the switch back on the inside line here, which is being very well covered by Andrew Porter, and he's forcing Nick Hull to have a look on the outside line. Hull here will get a good sweet racing line as he grabs the apex here. Not as much momentum as I thought, and again that inside line tentatively covered by Andrew Porter in the 33, so Hull's got to regroup, try and find another way. Super stuff from these boys approaching the end of this one. On board again with Nick coming into Palmer Corner, the left-hander. The run downhill into Agostini awaits them. You can see Tyrrell's restaurant over there. The previous shot, that was to the right-hand side of the shot, which is where everybody goes for a break after racing. At the end of the day, mixing with the wonderful marshals and sharing a beer and a story. It's a big shout out to the marshals. If you're watching our racing, you want to get involved in any way, one of the best ways, apart from racing, is to have a taste today with the marshals. They're a great bunch. And literally, we can't go racing without marshals being here on track. John Jones second in red goes through shot. Chris Valentine still in third from Andy Pritchard. And you can see at the back of that shot that Rick Styron is again, as he did in race number 1, starting to close in on the 924s. So that will give him a little bit of a target to focus on to try and catch. So Styron goes through the lead in black. The white, black and red car of second place man Andrew Porter with Nick Hull again having a look. Wide line into Brundle. We're seeing them come through here. This is the exit of Nelson Corner and Nick Hull is still there and chasing hard. Anthony Hutchins has not been left by any stretch of the imagination either. He is still there in 4th position. Remember, we sadly had a retirement for Garry Lawrence on lap 4, and we'll try and catch up with Garry and find out what the problem was. But it's Rick Styron who is coming along the centre straight in his 98th start in the championship and wins. Here's the battle for second, which is going to the flag, and Nick Hull is having a go. He's going to the inside this time, and he's looking up the inside line. But second place, a best result for Andrew Porter. Nick Hull another podium in third. Anthony Hutchins is 4th from Hugh Pert, who again wins the 924s. John Jones second in 924s from Andy Pritchard, and Chris Valentine in 4th. Fastest laps, Rick Styron and Hugh Pert once again.
Well, congratulations, Andrew. Podium finish here in the second race of the weekend, and slightly better fortunes than yesterday.
Yeah, well, qualifying went really well. Got second, and then had a bit of a poor start, and then following Nickel a bit too close, and the car overheated. So today, coming from back of the grid, coming through to second, I'm pretty happy with it.
Very hot out there today. Obviously, that takes its toll on you in the car. But what about tyre pressures and car setup?
Well, with the heat, we tried everything really, but it just heats up that quick. You've just got to be careful and patient with it. Towards the end, we were struggling to hang on to it, and Nick was pushing me around all the way. But yeah, it was a good race. Really enjoyed it.
Looking forward to race 3?
Yeah, a bit of a problem with the exhaust, but hopefully Lee will get it sorted for me. We'll get out and see if we can do it again.
All right. Well, best of luck.
Cheers.
Well, John Jones, congratulations, second place finish, and for someone with as little experience as you have, relatively speaking, that's been a fantastic result, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. It was a bit of a war of attrition with some of the cars having problems, but at the end of the day, you have to be on the track to get a finish, and I finished second, so yeah, immensely happy.
What is it that attracted you to the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship and the 924s in particular?
Always been a fan of Porsche. I've got a 944, a Cayenne. My fiance's got a 718, so Porsche is in the blood, and it's a fantastic car to race, relatively low cost, and immensely good fun.
Well, let's hope for some more podiums tomorrow.
Let's hope so. Thank you.
And so on to our third and final race here at Snetterton for the Toyo Tires 2019 BRSCC Porsche Championship, the reverse grid race, which sees Anthony Hutchins on pole, Nick Hull alongside, Andrew Porter on row 2, a gap where Richard Styron should have been, Garry Lawrence lining up last for the Boxsters, the 924s, Chris Valentine on pole from Andy Pritchard, then John Jones and Hugh Pert. Now, Rick Styron has very kindly let his hire car back to Garry Lawrence, who had that problem in race number 1. And we'll talk more about that anon because the lights are on. Out they go, on board with Nick Hull. Great start by Anthony Hutchins. Oh, and I was going to say Hull in second place, but Garry Lawrence is coming through like the proverbial off the shovel from the outside of row 2 into the lead at Riches. 4th position is Andrew Porter. The 924s have got away well too, and they're led, I think, by Andy Pritchard. But Nick Hull finds himself down in 3rd place. He had a great, good enough start. Anthony Hutchins was quicker, though, off the line. And Nick Hull has got work to do. But it's Garry Lawrence, who hadn't sat in the car on track prior to the start of this race. So the story of the weekend, if you've not caught up with us so far, is that Rick Styron, the championship leader, won the first 2 races. Garry Lawrence had a retirement in race 2, which was a clutch problem. They couldn't fix the clutch, so Rick Styron, who needs to get away early today, has ceded the 99 car over to Garry Lawrence, and he's got into the lead. Here come the 924s. Andrew Pritchard coming under pressure from Chris Valentine, who looks on the inside line. Valentine, who had heat stroke and therefore missed race 1. Sorry I didn't tell you that earlier, but he's clearly recovered from that now, which is great news. I'm sure it'll all be in his report after the meeting as well. But we've got the lead trio together, a tiniest of gaps back to Anthony, back to the 33 car, Andrew Porter. Anthony Hutchins running second, but it's Garry Lawrence, the leader. Nick Hull chasing first and second position down the straight here as they come into the Brundle-Nelson complex, and Hull taking a nice wide sweep there in third place, not threatened at the moment for that third position. So Hull exits from Nelson corner, comes offline, looks at the inside line here of Anthony Hutchins, challenging for second place. Hutchins, if he's looked in his mirrors, we'll see him. We haven't seen anybody pull off a pass this way, I don't think, in the programme, and Hutchins is there at the moment, but he's on the outside line. Nick Hull, if they stay side by side, Hull will be on the outside for Murray's, but he's got the position made and is up into second place. A good overtake there by Nick Hull. We're used to seeing him overtaking these cars. We've seen some good overtakes at Brands Hatch, another class 1 there, and again fair racing between these drivers, giving each other room and racing on as Nick Hull now starts to think about maybe having a little nibble at Garry Lawrence, and he's looking to the inside line. Lawrence is in black, the race leader, and Nick Hull, who about 3 corners ago was third, is now in the lead. Great stuff from him. Nick Hull, the race leader, might have been kicking himself for the start. I don't know, it wasn't a terrible start, but Hutchins got away slightly better. Garry Lawrence was just away and down the road, but Nick Hull is the leader. We've got a battle on now for third place because Anthony Hutchins coming under pressure from Andrew Porter, and Nick Hull has got the view that he wants out of the windscreen. He's got blue sky and clear. Back with the 924s. Second place car of Chris Valentine goes through side by side for the final podium position. And at the moment, Andy Pritchard still holding sway over John Jones. So there's been some super racing in both classes over the course of this weekend. They're going to be relishing the prospect of going to Cadwell Park on the 12th of May. But it's Garry Lawrence still out front. We can't see him. It almost thought he'd disappeared away in the distance for a minute, but he was eclipsed by the second place car as we looked at that shot. Look at Anthony Hutchins, he's getting racy now, takes a wide line at Agostini, be hoping to maybe slot up the inside into Hamilton. Realistically too far back to do that at the moment as the battle for the lead continues. Garry Lawrence's DNF incident, the first retirement he's had since Cadwell Park in 2018, it was June last year. So not a driver that makes a habit of having DNFs for any reason. And a shame to see that in race 2 today. And there is Lawrence in the 99 car, still ahead of Andrew Porter. And Nick Hull is going to, again, if it stays like this, wind up with a third place of the year. He's been so consistent. That's where he is at the moment in blue. Garry Lawrence in black, the leader, the white-black with red trim car of Andrew Porter in second. Looking now, he's had a second position in race number 2, looking to try and better that, but equaling it would be good to go away with a brace of second positions and a first career podium for him in this championship. Out of Coram, very nearly now at 3/4 distance in this race. Fastest man on track. Nick Hull's edging towards those 2:15 laps. That's pretty remarkable considering the tyre wear that these guys have had over the course of the weekend. Garry Lawrence is lapping in the 2:16s. Anthony Hutchins is as well. In fact, all of the Boxsters are there or thereabouts. You don't need me to tell you that. You can see all 4 of them in shot at any one time. And I challenge you to find too many other championships where the lead 4 drivers are all in the same shot all the way through. There's a little mistake there from Lawrence, who goes wide again. That corner's his nemesis. Lawrence is down to third. And now we've got Andrew Porter as the race leader. Nick Hull is back up into second place, and it's going to require another recovery drive from Garry Lawrence to come back through, if indeed he can. Now, was that a tired tyre moment? I think that may well have been for Garry Lawrence. It wasn't the spot where we saw Rick Styron have the problem earlier on. That was on the exit of this corner in race number 1. And Anthony Hutchins busy chasing. I thought Hutchins was going to get himself up onto a podium position there very nearly. So Nick Hull is back in second place, and Andrew Porter looking to have a first career win, and Nick Hull coming through into Coram, back with the battlers for third place in the 924s. John Jones is running in third position now, up ahead of Andy Pritchard. So Nick Hull, as I say, we are into the last 5 minutes of this race. It's been a gruelling weekend, and I'll take my hat off to all the drivers. Hull not getting close enough to make a chat. Garry Lawrence is back on the case, isn't it? That wasn't a mechanical problem. It was a blip of some sort, but look at the 99 car back on the case of Nick Hull. This is where Hull got past the 33 car earlier on in the race. So we know Nick is fast through this section, up into Coram again. Hutchins may be dropping away just a tad at the moment in fourth position, but again, certain times you can see all four in shot. There they are, good stuff. And the 33 car coming under pressure now from Nick Hull, who's starting to build up momentum once again. Out of Murray's, along centre straight they go. Into the sunshine. It is so hot out there today. Ideal conditions in many ways, particularly for spectators, but for racing drivers with a whole hour of racing time now as Nick Hull goes down the inside line. Hull challenging for the lead, side by side, and was there contact? There might have been the lightest of taps on the back end of the 33 car for Andrew Porter, who was in the lead but loses it. Hutchins is going up the inside of Garry Lawrence. A very quick recovery from Andrew Porter, who is down in fourth place and surely won't be able to get any further up. It's a very short space of time for him to recover. But Nick Hull, we've seen so much close racing between himself and Andrew Porter in the first two events of the year. Such a pity, but it was just a light touch and it sent that 33 car around, and it's Nick Hull that leads now. Garry Lawrence is second. Third position, Anthony Hutchins, who now is going to be thinking about his first podium, and it certainly hasn't been out of the question because he's been in touch all the way through this race, Anthony Hutchins. But it's Hull the leader, Garry Lawrence in P2, Anthony Hutchins in 3. Andrew Porter is still running and will pick up fourth place points if he can get it through, assuming there's no damage to the car. Sadly out of shot. I remind you, the 924 is headed by Hugh Pert from Chris Valentine and John Jones here at Snetterton. Nick Hull is the leader, just looking back through shot to see if we can see a flash of the 33 car. Bit of a pity. Now, I tell you what, Garry Lawrence is getting wound up again after his moment earlier on, and this is where he passed for the lead earlier on in the race. They're side by side. He's got the momentum again. Garry Lawrence has gone through into the lead again on the outside line. He had superb speed down the Bentley straight, but can he hold on to the car as they come through Nelson? He's wide, and here comes Nick Hull, and he's, well, might be his favourite place on the circuit where he grabbed a position earlier on. Last time it was for second, this time it's for the lead. But has he left a gap for Garry Lawrence to come back on the inside line? He has. There is Lawrence back down the inside. Absolute classic motor racing here from the BRSCC Porsche Championship. Nick Hull is not finished yet though. Hull in second, neither is Anthony Hutchins, who could have a wild card here. He's in with a shout. The top two cars mindful of what they're doing. Lawrence and Hull, and Anthony Hutchins here, if he plays his cards right, could well be in with a shout of taking a win too. Hull looks down the inside line now as they're on the last lap of the race here for round 5 of the championship. It looks like Lawrence and Hull are settling down into first and second. There's a little bit of a gap now between Garry Lawrence and Nick Hull. Lawrence in front again. What a race we've had. Plenty of place changes, you know, and even if we hadn't had the reverse grid, we would have had that, because we've seen some terrific skill this weekend from all of the drivers, putting on a great show, enjoying themselves, of course, which is the first key thing. If you enjoy yourself racing, the rest of it follows. But it's Garry Lawrence looking for career win number 1. He's still got a fair way to go because he's got half the infield. plus the back straight and the rest of the lap as well. But he's got to lengthen a bit over Nick Hull at the moment. There is Anthony Hutchins, who's going to, by the look of it, make a little bit of history here and get his first podium in the BRSCC Porsche Championship, having moved over from the Mazdas. Lawrence is there. I can tell you that back on lap 7, Nick Hull set the fastest lap, got into the 2:15s. He was on a mighty charge on that lap. And he's on a mighty charge again because he's closing down on Garry Lawrence. The best lap, a 2:15.4. Garry Lawrence's best time, 2:16.5. So it must have been a little bit of a lap, maybe where he pulled a bit of a toe, particularly on this part of the track, maybe on the centre straight as well. He's closing up. Lawrence trying to break the toe, takes a wide line into Brundle for the last time. Now, round into Nelson, Nick Hull closing up. This is where we know Nick Hull is particularly quick. Is there going to be a gap? He's not coming offline. He has a look, but he knows he hasn't got the momentum at the moment. It's Garry Lawrence who's looking for that first win. He's going to be so nervous in the car now about whether he can get round to the finish, and he's under pressure from Hull. Is there going to be a gap here? Hull is closing up as they come through Coram and looking at the inside line, but there's barely room. Is there going to be a gap as they come into Murray's? Hull's having a look, but he's on the brakes, and it looks like Garry Lawrence is clear as they come out to the final turn, onto the centre straight, past the pit lane entrance, and down towards the checkered flag. Garry Lawrence wins his first race, his first win in the BRSCC Porsche Championship. Nick Hull is second, Anthony Hutchins a maiden podium in third place. Garry Lawrence looks thrilled with that. He can cool off now with a celebratory beer. In the 924s, it's going to be Hugh Pert who will take the win, indeed does. So it's Lawrence from Hull and Hutchins, Andrew Porter fourth, Hugh Pert wins again, unbeaten in the 924s from Chris Valentine and John Jones. Andy Pritchard sadly a DNF, fastest laps. Nick Hull in the Supersport Boxsters and Hugh Pert in the 924s. Great racing, roll on Cadwell Park.
Well, Garry Lawrence, it's been a frustrating weekend really, hasn't it? But nice to smile on your face here at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, it's been ups and downs really. First race was, great, led for a while and then came off and had to come back through, so that was good. Second race, clutch went, so had to pull in. And then, well, that one spoke for itself really. No, really good. Great racing with all the boys. First win, so delighted with that. I'd like to dedicate that to me, because I was the one that done it all. No, the team, Lee, helped out this weekend, and Jordan, they did a great job. Loads of people. I'd like to also thank Ambassador Rottweilers, who sponsor me, and Country Properties, yeah, all good stuff.
Nick Hull, second place in the final race of the weekend. It's almost one of those races though where the result sort of doesn't matter. It was just great fun, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was good fun. Don't get me wrong, it was great fun. It's obviously a good battle for of us. It was just a shame that myself and Andy came together, so that spoilt it a little bit for me. But yeah, no, good fun. The car went brilliant. Nick Booth set it up again for this race. We've run all tyres all weekend, and it's just worked brilliantly. And even at the end there, behind Garry, got a lot of pace through Coram, so I was catching him. But it was just trying to get him to outbrake himself or get alongside him to get past him.
Anthony Hutchins, third place then for our final race of the weekend here at Snetterton. A really good result, an even better race.
Yeah, great race. Good, nice, close racing, reasonably clean. I mean, this is only my fifth race since I moved up from the Mazdas, and so I'm really pleased to get on the podium. So yeah, nice paddock, good guys, really real good fun.
So Garry Lawrence then wins a sensational third race here at Snetterton. Rick Starring the victor in the previous two Boxster races, whilst Hugh Pert is in dominant form early in the season with 3 out of 3 here at Snetterton. Will he continue that form, and will we see more of the same great racing next time out at Cadwell Park? Well, you'll have to join us to find out.